Hey guys, Gummo from Gummo's Itchy Nuisance here. I've got a video that's in response to Nick from Long Island Wargaming's call for a list of 10 things that sucked in 8th edition. So just a bit of background. Obviously, I've got a wiki up. Some of you guys might have seen it. That's just sort of tracking some of the other mainstream community efforts that are going around trying to keep 8th alive, or at least putting a version out there that's maybe going to live on a bit longer than the current 8th. Something that sort of interested me. I did finally get my um, Warhammer Age of Sigmar box and all that sort of stuff here today, so I will hopefully get some of AOS content out at some point. But to be honest, I opened the box and I haven't been overly interested, except for wanting to paint some of the corn guys. But anyway, I will get to that at some point. But Nick hit me up today about this sort of what's happening with the list. Well, sorry, not the list. The 8th edition changes and the different community efforts and stuff. And we're just talking back and forth and said, well, you know, surely with what we've got at YouTubers and the guys that are involved in the YouTubers, that even though there's going to be a Swedish version and stuff like that, we could put our own one out, and more's the merrier. Really, we've got to see what comes to the top. So we decided let's just start simple. We don't want to make any radical changes. We just want a set of 10 or so changes that might make the game just enough different that it adds a bit of variety, a bit of spice back, and look for the people who want to keep playing it, and I'm sure there's lots out there that do. That's going to help. So that's why we thought let's just throw out the 10 things that sucked about Warhammer and see what we get, and the ones that are sort of most common. Maybe we'll put out some polls of different changes and how these could be addressed, and hopefully come up with a set. I've actually done a copy of the Warhammer FAQ in a Word doc, so it looks legit. And we could highlight the changes in that, so it's sort of familiar for everyone to look at. So I thought I better do mine. What is mine? These are, I don't even know if it's my top 10 or not. It's just the 10 things I'm sort of mainly aiming for. There's probably actually a couple more, and I just stopped at 10. So they're in no particular order, and I may talk a little bit about some of what I think I want to change. Or sorry, how I want these things to change. But again, none of this is written in anywhere near stone. So the first one's cannons, everyone's favourite piece of artillery. we need to bring them down somehow. Purely to let, I guess, we want monsters on the table. I know we maybe don't want to go as far as everyone just playing with massive monsters and no infantry, but at the same time, spending all the points and painting all your effort on a big centerpiece model and have it cannoned off in turn one, no one likes that. So there's I think there's a good few little options that I've seen that people have been starting to suggest. Um, actually, I'll just caveat before I go with any of these two. Most of the ideas I think will float to the top are the ones that don't affect points and don't affect really having to rewrite like points or loads of rules. So the simple ones I think are the ones that we want to look at. So one of the ones I liked actually just was making making the D6 wounds only affect stuff that you actually land on with the bounce, rather than sort of bouncing through. Anything bouncing through would cause D3 wounds, so that would tone down the amount of damage that a cannon can do, unless you really do just hit right on the guy. So you can't just do 10 from the back all the time. And I've put this one titled number two. I titled a small chaff. Now remember, these aren't in order. Sorry. Small chaff. So what I mean by that, I like some of the mechanics of Kings of War that, I mean, I do this all the time. I have level 1, level 2 Night Gobbo Shamans, and when the going gets tough, they go out to get in front of a unit, send it off in one other direction, or at least road speed bump it. I'd like to see something in there that stops that, in the sense that if you do that, the other unit gets to just kill you, charge straight on through, and even maybe fight again. So you can't just throw little individuals out in front of a massive unit. Hey, it's great to know that rule when someone doesn't, particularly by facing them the wrong way and sending a massive horde 90 degrees the other way. But it's not realistic at all. Realistic, fantasy. But anyway, I think most people would want to see some of that change. Obviously don't want to get rid of chaff. I think it's heaps important, but you should have to sacrifice a bit, rather than just throwing these little individual guys out that in reality would just get swarmed by us, wouldn't even know they're there. So there's some options there that we could look at in terms of troop types and stuff like that. That and forcing individuals to close the door to charging units and things like that if they aren't big enough, I guess. Magic items, I don't want to make a heap of changes to points and all this sort of stuff. I just think the more we do, it's going to make army builders and all that stuff hard, and people just too hard basket. But removing some of them, or something like that, or changing the odd one might actually be of use. So I'm thinking things like Crown of Command's Standard of Discipline. Everyone seems to be rocking Leadership 9 and Leadership 10, so let's get rid of that. I would just take them straight out. The Dispel Scroll, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I'd remove it or I'd just bump the price up, but I think, some of my funnest games are the ones that don't have, many magic items. So, and there probably is other ones, but Crown of Command, Standard of Discipline, certainly would be ones that would be on the chopping board, I would imagine. Number 4, I've got character walls. So nothing against character walls, and I think it's great to have heaps of characters and heroes and all that sort of stuff. But, stopping you, it just really just makes particular cavalry just delivery mechanisms for characters. And I think you'd stop that by saying allowing rank and file to always attack rank and file no matter what or where is in the way. So characters can still just maul whoever they want if they want, but at least you get to at least attack some of their rank and file and get some of that combat res that you need. And I think that would stop some of that. Obviously, Brett's needed a bit, but I'm not looking at these changes from a army builder, army book balancing exercise. It's purely just, what's sort of realistic, and just, charging you with some knights and having 3 guys at the front and you can't attack anyone isn't very realistic. I don't think, especially once combat comes, people will be swarming everywhere. So that's how I would change that. End times. People either hate it or love it. I haven't played enough to really hate it, so I wouldn't want to roll it all back. I'd particularly just want to see the 50% thing just bundled together. So if you want to have 50% lords, that's cool, but you're not having any heroes and stuff like that. Simple change, but I think some of the weaker books, particularly Orcs and Goblins, I think actually need the 50% lords to be competitive. So I don't know if I want it going back to 25-25, but anyway, that's my opinion. But yeah, it would be something to look at. And I got Congers, zombie Congers, stuff like that. I think it's, that wouldn't be on a real battlefield. So I think eliminating them would be good. I think simple. I was thinking something on the lines of allowing skirmishes and fast cap to Conga. So basically the rule would be that you need at least minimum of 5 files, or 3 if you're monstrous, and any more. And if you're skirmishes or fast cap, that you don't need that rule. So you can still conga and stuff, but obviously skirmishes and fast cap tend to be a bit more expensive and you're not going to see them just congering everywhere, but it would stop the zombie congas and things like that. But yeah, I mean, surely other ideas to get rid of them would be good. I put this one's big and generic, and to be honest, I had another one here. Actually, originally had ballistic skill shooting, but I wanted 10, so I cut one out. So I put terrain, and what I meant by that is, it's one good thing about AOS is that boards are going to be filled with terrain, and most of the Warhammer ones we see these days are a couple of forests, a couple of hills, and anything else like obstructions or whatever they are, and all that stuff just get moved out of the way half the time. You can shoot cannons through forests, all this sort of stuff. So I think bringing back some of those modifiers and blocky, can't shoot through forest, can't see through forest, those type of rules would mean putting scenery on actually makes a difference. So I'd like to see that addressed somehow, and along with terrain then would be building rules, some type of mods to them, because they become pretty much like a TARDIS sometimes and things like that, with millions of people inside them and stuff. So some mods around there. I really have no idea. I haven't really thought too much about that at the moment, but at very least, too, the other thing is just eliminating the true line of sight with that. I'd go to the sort of ETC style, just less arguments, just a bit easier. And cavalry, well, cavalry did suck, but it's not something that I want. Like I want the suckiness to change. So it'd be nice to see Cav actually do stuff. And so this goes in combination a little bit with the character wall stuff. But I was leaning towards boosts and buffs to cavalry when they're charging in ranks. When they're charging in rears and flanks and stuff like that. And just give them a bit of a boost there, so people may want to take them a bit more to do some, hammer type work. So I'm totally open to ideas there. I'm still coming up with my own, but I think something would be good to see there. Some of the other cavalry that are out there too. I mean, I don't know, like boar boys and stuff. It'd be nice to see them improve, but without bumping armor saves or lowering points. I don't know what we can do in the BRB to sort of make them an obvious choice. My number 9 is around magic, and it's pretty simple. It's just, I think I'd leave most of the spells how they are at the moment, but I'd just allow wards for the ones that don't allow wards. And I would make magic res come into play with when you're dispelling. So you get to throw extra dice or something like that effectively, or add your magic res value to your dispel roll if you're being the target of a spell, or your unit is, stuff like that. So I think that would just give magic res a bit of a boost, give some ward saves to the bomb spells, and it'd probably be fine at the moment. Nothing too major. And my number 10 was ASF, and that's probably because I hate elves now. I don't hate elves, but to be honest, I don't really mind the ASF reroll stuff, but potentially we could at least trial just getting rid of rerolls with ASF and just use ASF as actually ASF. And that might tone down some of the high elves, wood elves. Well, not so much wood elves in combat, but the high elves, dark elves sort of reign. Yeah, so that's my list of top 10 there. I think, want to know what your ones are. I've set up a wiki which you can go to, and there's a community, I don't know, I can't remember what it's called, community efforts or something, which just has some of the other ones. So it's got like links to the Swedish forum where they're talking about theirs. There's one on the Wargamer USA. There's some stuff happening in the Wargamer AU. There's the one I set up there on my wiki, which I don't know, maybe that will morph into the YouTubers one. Who knows? There's a bunch of other things like that. There's the links to the community army books and stuff like that. So feel free to get on there and leave your comments and stuff like that. I think the changes that I'd like to see, just to summarise, it still would allow the hero hammer. I'm not trying to knock that out. So, toning down cannons and stuff like that would actually allow people to still bring big monsters, and obviously allowing the 50% stuff in there as well. It would just, bring back some leadership tests that actually make a difference. So, like with the getting rid of some of the crown and command stuff, add a little bit of protection to magic, hopefully buff up the cavalry and infantry, and less sort of silly chaff movement shenanigans. There's a whole bunch of other changes too that you could do. So we want to hear yours, and yeah, I guess just let us know, and I'll see you next time at the next battle report. Cheers, guys.